So, what were my best bikes of Motorcycle Live 2018? Catch you inside.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're enjoying the channel. Please subscribe and hit the notifications bell down there. So, in this video, I'm talking about what are my best bikes from the Motorcycle Live 2018 show. Now, this isn't based upon performance or based upon price or value for money or out and out wow factor. This is more based upon a general feeling I had at the time whilst I was walking around the show and vlogging and having a look at all the specs. You know, it was a kind of an emotive feeling rather than an actual, which is the actual best bike. Because to say there is a best bike, it's very subjective. It really depends what your personal taste is. Okay, but I'd say these are the bikes that I really liked there. Yeah, so the Norton V4 RR I thought was a spectacular bike. The 1200cc 72 degree liquid cooled V4 engine, you know, it was just a bit of a monster really. You know, 200 brake horsepower, 130 odd newton meters torque, so you know that's lots of grunts there for you. But you know, in general, it was just a spectacular looking bike. Same with the Norton Superlight as well. The 650cc parallel twin motor, 105 brake horsepower and 75 newton meters as well on torque. So you know that's pretty good, and it looks stunning again. You know, for sports bikes. Again, I think Norton have just got it right with the mid-range and the top-end sports bike, you know, look and feel. It just looked awesome. So, you know, kudos to Norton there, I would say. Yeah, so the next bike is the Norton Atlas, the Ranger variant of that. Now, a bit of a strange choice you might think, but I thought there's a bit of a kickback, a bit of a throwback to, you know, adventure riding of yesteryear, and I kind of liked that style. It was a bit awkward looking, but maybe I like a bit of awkward, I don't know, but you know, it's the 650cc parallel twin. It's got 84 brake horsepower, 64 newton meters. So, you know, for the off-road environment, if that's what we're really saying that this should be going towards, then that's more than enough. You know, I don't think, you know, this is not a serious off-road bike, of course, but it's going to be capable. It's going to be good for hitting lots of trails. Stick some knobblies on it, and you know, you'll go far. So it's a kind of off-road capable, getting out onto the dirty stuff if you need to. So I quite like that. And it's a small bike, and it's going to be it's not going to be as lightweight as, you know, your dedicated enduro bikes, but you know, it's going to be relatively lightweight. So the other bike I thought which was really interesting, I would say, was the on the Ducati stand, the Ducati Diavel S, the Diavel range, out for 2019. You know, we're talking 1262 cc's, you know, that Tesla Stretta DVT, you know, kind of twin engine that it's got. 156 horsepower, 128 newton meters on the torque. So it's, you know, it depends if it's your kind of bike. It's kind of sports bike, performance-esque with a little bit of cruiser type. You know, it just looks weird and wonderful. I noticed a lot of the bikes, if you saw my vlog on the Motorcycle Live, a lot of the bikes are going for this kind of Judge Dredd front end look, sloping front end look. Now that's kind of seems to be all the rage. I'm not so sure about that styling myself, and kind of the Diavel sort of started that all off really, but I don't know, it really depends. But you know, certainly from an impression point of view, it looked kind of impressive. Looked quite impressive. Again, the you know, the Multistrada of Ducati looked really nice, and also the you know, the new V4 Panigale as well. I mean, that looked, you know, awesome, as they always do. I say Ducati is not really my thing, but as I say, the Diavel S, you know, from an appearance point of view, it just looked weird and wonderful. So you know, that's why it's kind of in the video really. But the CCM, I really like their stand, and I like their Spitfire. I like their variations on that model. It's got 600cc single cylinder 4-stroke engine. It's 55 brake horsepower, 58 newton meters torque. Do you know what? That's all you're going to need for that kind of. And I particularly like the bobber style, the variation of that Spitfire. I think it just looked awesome. It's a great bike, great mid-range bike, and it's you're just going to look cool on that. You're going to pull up to a cafe or a pub on one of those, and people are going to be thinking, "Cool dude" or "girl" or whatever, So I think it's got the right look and it's got the right feel, and it's also performing well. So I think performance-wise, that's enough power for that kind of bike. So. Really good. The bike that I really wanted to see at the show, well, there are two bikes now, and I'll talk about those now. So the first was a Moto Guzzi V85 TT, their new adventure bike. It looks a bit awkward. It looks a bit angular, as all Moto Guzzis do. But I am a bit of a Moto Guzzi fan, although, as I said in the vlog, I've never owned one. I've ridden a few, but never owned one. But I do like their kind of style, that angular style. It's got the V90 twin engine. It's got an 853 cc's engine, 79 brake horsepower. Just have to check my details here. Yeah, and 18 newton meters as well on torque. I also liked the Moto Guzzi stand. I like their V9 bobber sort of variation take on it. And I always liked the V7. Put a Moto Guzzi in a matte black or a matte red finish, and for me, it's you're golden. So I just like that kind of V90 engine coming out, and it just looks great. So V85 TT, and I think it's saying that it can do lots of things, and it's going to be very off-road capable. But I think it's just going to be like all the big adventure bikes. It's big, it's heavy, it's definitely off-road capable. You can do what any other bike will do. Stick some knobblies on and you'll go anywhere. But it's going to be a real handful, and it's going to be hard work to get over the the hard stuff. But I'm sure it'll be able to do it in most cases anyway. And the other bike which I was really looking forward to was the Suzuki Katana. Yes, the 999cc engine. Obviously the new revamped look. There's a nod. That's all I would say. There's a nod to the old GSX Katana from the early 80s, which they had on display as well, which I thought was really nice. And yeah, I was starting to drool like a little crazy rabid dog, really. But there you go. Because that's one of my favourite bikes of all time. Anyway, so the new Suzuki Katana, 1000cc, 999cc. It's got 147 brake horsepower, 108 newton meters on the torque, 4-cylinder, 4-stroke engine. It's going to be powerful. It's that negative. It's got that kind of Judge Dredd front end look again, which I'm not too keen. As I said on the vlog, I liked it, but I wasn't in love with it. It didn't have that instant wow. Whereas, I was looking at the new the new Katana, and guess where my eyes were trying to drifting towards? Yep, back to the old GSX Katana. I'm afraid I liked it, but it wasn't for me because I was just really looking at the old bike. Anyway, so that was it. So that's the list of the bikes which I think were really, they kind of appealed to me. But let's say my top 3 bikes. Drum roll. Okay, so in number 3, in third place, it's the CCM Spitfire, the bobber. I thought that looked absolutely fantastic. I love that bike. I love the looks. I love the layout of it, and I love that sort of, it's going to be multi-purpose, I think, that bike, and it's going to appeal to a lot of people, both urban riding and just getting out into the black stuff into the countryside as well. I thought it just looked really cool, and I thought it's just it packs a lot of punch for a small bike, so I really like that. So the CCM Spitfire, the bobber variant for me did it. So, you know, kudos to CCM. And you know, just think about CCM, where they came from. A couple of years ago, they were just, you know, one bike, you know, their adventure bike, you know, in a very small gazebo style or size tent. And now look at them, you know, massive. So, you know, within a few years, look where CCM have come. Okay, so number 2 in the list of my favourite bikes was, yes, and this is going to be a surprise to a lot of people, it's the Norton Atlas Ranger. And I can hear lots of you shuffling in your seats, getting very uncomfortable and scratching your heads and thinking, why has he chosen that? Again, it was about an overall impression that I had at the time, that, you know, it was what it made me feel. And I was a little bit puzzled by it at the time. And I think in the vlog, I was a little bit, not too sure about this. But actually, on reflection, I really like it. And I like Norton, you know, and the Superlight and the V4R I thought was, you know, brilliant, of course. But that Atlas Ranger, I thought, you know, ticked a lot of boxes for me. And I thought, I'd like to ride that. I'd like to be seen on that, and I'd like to go off on a, you know, on a dusty trail somewhere and riding that around. So that was really good. So number 1. Right, number 1 is, you're not going to like me for it, but it's the Moto Guzzi V85 TT. Yes, that is the bike I really wanted to look at, and that's the bike that made me feel, oh, I don't like it. Oh, I do like it. Oh, but you know what? I was thinking about it all the way home, and that's why I'm choosing that Moto Guzzi. It's angular. It looks ungainly. I'm not too sure about the exhaust coming out the front end, and whether that bash plate is going to be give it a proper protection. I'm not sure about its off-road capability. I know it's going to be too heavy, you know, for serious off-road, but you're still going to be able to get into serious stuff. It just looked awkward, and it looked as if it was a bit of a beast, actually. So that's why I've gone for the Moto Guzzi. So that's it. Those are my top 3. You know, the CCM Spitfire bobber variant, the Norton Atlas Ranger, and the Moto Guzzi V85 TT. Now, that's not over. I'm going to give a special mention out to Caballero Fantic, okay, for their 500cc Scrambler. And I thought that looked great, because as soon as I walked in, that was one of the first bikes I saw as I came in through one of the entrances, and I came right onto the Fantic stand, and I saw the Caballero, that kind of bright red, Testarossa red, you know, shining back at me, mixtures of yellows and whites, and I thought, whoa, that is a bike and a half. It just looked good. It's very vintage styling, you know, it's got off-road capability. Yes, it's going to be slightly heavy, but I just thought it looked good. It was almost like this was the nearest thing that a manufacturer had come to producing a twin shocker, and I think, you know, for me, if we're going to go down that retro look, that vintage look, I think they've got to invest in this twin shock look at the back with the monoshock kind of capability, if you know what I mean. If they can look at that styling, I'm not sure how it would work. I don't think it would work properly, but you know what I mean. You know, if we're going to have that old styling, I think maybe go for a twin shocker as well. But that bike I thought looked fantastic. Now, as it's to its off-road capability, who knows? But you know, it's going to certainly be a lot of fun. And you pole up to somewhere on one of those, it's going to turn heads, and people are going to think, wow, that looks cool. So anyway, so the Caballero Fantic 500 Scrambler, you know, they do the 250 variants. I think they do the 125 as well. I'm not too sure about that. But you know, it's essentially the same looking bike, but just with a different engine. So the Caballero, as I say, that gets a special mention. But those are the top 3 good. But obviously there's lots of bikes. This is very subjective. This is purely what I thought, my impressions of the bikes at the time. So those are my top 10, 5, definitely top 3, possibly a wild card in there. You get the picture. Right, hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to get back to more editing, and I'll catch you on the next one, whenever that is. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell, leave loads of comments, let me know what you thought, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.